everyone, this is Coach K and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am going to share with you some historical notes about one of the famous civil rights leaders in America, and his name is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., also known as MLK. So every year at this time, every second Monday of January, Americans are celebrating his birthday as a national holiday. MLK is one of the African American who fought against discrimination for Black Americans in the early 60s until he got assassinated. MLK is the first president and minister of the Southern Christian leadership in Georgia. So the question, guys, is why Filipinos like me trying to feature African American in my YouTube channel? So, for me, it's kind of like education purposes and for knowledge purposes, because, I was really fascinated about the history of African American here in America, and especially that, I'm not white or I'm not Black. I wanted to learn something about, what is the history about African American. And guys, for those of you who are not aware, back in the day, racism and segregation are pretty brutal in all public spaces. They were separate accommodations for the people on the color of their skin. Can you imagine that? It's really brutal, right? They have separate water fountain, separate bathroom for white and Black, separate restaurants, salon, theater, and separate seating in hotels and buses. And the two did not mix, the Black and white. They are not allowing those people to be together in a public spaces. And thanks to Dr. King and hundreds of thousands of people who followed his teaching, using civil disobedience, they were able to protest to the government to pass laws to eliminate the worst examples of racial segregation. And at the end of this video, I'll be sharing with you guys some of the clippings about Martin Luther King, or MLK, and happy MLK Day to America. And thank you for watching, and this is Coach K, and saying thanks, bye.
But one day, this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Don't allow anybody to make you feel that you are nobody. Always feel that you count. Always feel that you have worth. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance.
I know you're asking today, how long will it take? Somebody's asking, how long will prejudice blind the visions of men? I come to say to you this afternoon, however difficult the moment, yes, sir, however frustrating the hour, it will not be long, because truth crushed earth will rise again. Yes, sir. How long? Not long. Yes, sir. Because no lie can live forever. Yes, sir. How long? Not long. How long? Because you shall reap what you sow. Yes, sir. How long? Not long.
I accept the Nobel Prize for Peace at a moment when 22 million Negroes of the United States are engaged in a creative battle to end the long night of racial injustice. I have the audacity to believe that peoples everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, and dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirits. I believe that what self-centered men have torn down, men other-centered can build.
Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. For some strange reason, I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be, and you can never be what you ought to be until I am what I ought to be.
Alan Lowe, General Manager, and here's Reverend K.
No matter how much he closes the Capitol, no matter how much he tries not to see us, he will inevitably see us. He may not talk with us, but he will see us. He has already seen us. Our actions and the kind of communication that no man can overlook. And I think that witness itself will communicate and articulate in a real sense our deep longings and aspirations for freedom.
What is it about the Negro? I mean, every other group that came as an immigrant somehow, not easily, but somehow got around it. Is it just the fact that Negroes are black?
White America must see that no other ethnic group has been a slave on American soil. That is one thing that other immigrant groups haven't had to face. The other thing is that the color became a stigma. American society made the Negro's color a stigma. America freed the slaves in 1863 through the Emancipation Proclamation of Abraham Lincoln, but gave the slaves no land or nothing in reality, and as a matter of fact, to get started on. At the same time, America was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that there was a willingness to give the white peasants from Europe an economic base. And yet it refused to give its black peasants from Africa, who came here involuntarily in chains and had worked free for 244 years, any kind of economic base. And so emancipation for the Negro was really freedom to hunger. It was freedom to the winds and rains of heaven. It was freedom without food to eat or land to cultivate, and therefore it was freedom and famine at the same time. And when white Americans tell the Negro to lift himself by his own bootstraps, they don't look over the legacy of slavery and segregation. I believe we ought to do all we can and seek to lift ourselves by our own bootstraps, but it's a cruel jest to say to a bootless man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And many Negroes, by the thousands and millions, have been left bootless as a result of all of these years of oppression and as a result of a society that deliberately made his color a stigma and something worthless and degrading.